Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So I finally finished chapter 66 of the newest update, and now I have a chance to go through the ancient Garulea dungeon in order to show you, what to watch for and kind of what to collect. Now if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. Now being that this is only my first time through the dungeon, I'm just going to have to go trial and error to kind of see what's up. My understanding is it's going to be very similar to the present Garulea dungeon, where you do have to go through certain areas where you're going to collect things similar to junk, and you'll also be collecting 20 of each type of colored item. Now in the present area, I believe it's types of paint. Now we'll have to see what these ones are. And once you get 20 of each, you can trade them in for different pieces of armor. And I believe you trade them in over here. Alright, so nothing obviously yet since we only are on our first run. There are also very rare areas similar to the cat shrine. And those will be the Dogu, shrines or whatever. So if you see that as one of your two paths, make sure you go to that first above all else, because they show up very rarely and you'll be able to trade them in to one of the people here, and you'll get some rare grass dust. Again, similar to the present Garulea dungeon. Now, again, you also do have two paths to take, and we're going to take the paths that collect items first as opposed to the ones that only give chests. So in this case, we're going to go to the cove first. So the three areas where you can collect junk, so to speak, and I guess they're called femurs, so monster bones, the leg bone. Once you collect, the three areas where you can collect it is the cove, the forest, and the mountains. If you see the other three areas, they will be chests only, similar to, like I said, Spectre Palace, and so on and so forth in present. You know what I mean. On another note, being that this is exactly what we've already explored in Tales from the East Part 2, be aware that you will need, depending on what you want to wander through and how well prepared you want to be, you're going to have a mix of wind, fire, magic, and earth. And you can clearly see that in the cove, just like before, earth does tremendous amounts of damage. So in my case, I'm bringing Subami, but if you have obviously Garyu or any other type of earth AoE type attacks, that will be more than sufficient. Keep in mind also that similar to present day Garulea, you'll need 360 light to unlock all 5 reward slots. So I believe it's 120 light for the 3rd slot, 240 for the 4th one, and 360 for the last one. Also, this one's a little bit different in that you can only grind Garyu's shadow here. Now, one of my subscribers said you can bring either OG Garyu or AS Garyu. And my recommendation is to bring OG Garyu as long as you have his manifest weapon, and I would imagine that you would have gotten that by now. And the reason for that is his explosion AoE, first of all, self-heals, which is massive, also does tremendous amounts of damage. And so you can easily clear a group of mobs, especially those who are vulnerable or weak to flame, and there are a number of those around. Also, his regular attack, the double hit, can boost his own staff user's power damage by 50%, and if you have other magic users as well, then it also boosts that as well. In this case, this particular horror was weak, and we destroyed it very, very easily. So the horrors, you don't get any sort of reward, being that you probably beat them once already in the overworld. And you can see these are one of the areas where you can collect those colored fragments that you'll trade in for armor. So in any of these areas, you'll get 3 junk or femurs, as well as 1 paint or colored fragment. Next, we're going to go to Talgana, one of the other areas where you can still collect femurs. And just like reminiscent like before, we're going to use Infernal and clear the way for RT. Now, in future runs, depending on how many crystals you'll need, you can choose to kill off the horrors, and obviously certain horrors in certain areas drop certain kinds of crystals, and what you're looking for obviously is the crystal support, being that support Grasta are relatively more difficult to find, since the present day Garulea dungeon had tons of crystal of attacks as well as crystal of life. So again, remember to grab 3 shiny sparkles for the femurs and 1 shiny sparkle for the paint fragment before you move on. At first I thought I did need 2 AoEs, but with enough Grasta and the manifest weapon, 1 AoE fire from Garulea should be enough to clear. I will say that one of the challenges here is that because Garulea is a shadow type character, even though it's great that we can grind his shadow, trying to get 360 light is difficult with just 5 units, especially if you're free to play. That being said, I have multiple dupes of Mariel as well as Suzette, and that is a +1 doing dungeons, although when you're doing a lot of boss fights, having less 5-star variations is a little bit annoying. But when it comes to light, I do have enough, being that I did grind obviously 140 light for Aldo, as well as 80 something light, and currently going up with Amy. Let me know in comments below how you are finding this particular dungeon, or if you're even at this point yet. I'll have to run this a few more times to see if I want to do this one, or continue grinding Azami's light in present day. So again, the horrors will have the same weaknesses and resistances as in the overworld. Alright, so one tip to note, that just like in present day, you don't want to really be burning off your AF bar, especially if you are tackling the boss after the 3rd area. And you can see with the wind attack, with Suzette's manifest, easy peasy, cleared the way. Okay, so let's see our 2 choices. The forest is the 3rd area that you can collect colored fragments. And so even though we went to the cove, for luck's sake, I will show you the 3rd area so you can see what to expect. Note that I also brought Amy not just for her light as a light pillar, but also because coming in with her VC and switching with Mariel, being that Mariel is my fastest character in the front, or close to fastest with Tsubami as well, can really improve the power and speed of your team, such that your team will act first before these mobs. And remember, all of them are in the level 80 range, so can deal a significant amount of damage to your team if they act first. Okay, so this one's got a green colored fragment, and we'll need 20 of those, of course. So in this area, again, the Inferno will wipe the floor with any sort of mobs, and of course if you have any horrors, the explosion should help you with the double XL fire attack. There you go. It's kind of interesting that he heals for like 20 something thousand life, when you clearly don't need more than a few thousand to heal him. Okay, so we're going to activate a full AF. I would say that normally I would rotate Amy or Aldo in, because Aldo's slash would destroy the forest core. However, I just want to show you what it's like just if I just activated it like that. Being that Mariel's in here, it probably wouldn't be as effective. And if you want to be more effective, knowing that you're really close to the boss, you can just switch in your 4th character instead of VCing, and that way you can attack and activate your AF with all 4 characters. So a little bit of tip for you guys if you didn't already know that. Okay, just collecting another few leg bones. Remember that we already got the paint green fragment. Being that I've already experienced the present day dungeon, this one wasn't quite as intimidating as the first one, especially since the mechanics are very similar. As I do a few more runs though, I'll be excited to see what kind of rewards we get. Okay, Big Gonjuro. So, depending on which 2 bosses we have to fight, keep in mind that you want to choose the ones that you can beat most easily. So the Big Gonjuro, remember, is weak to Earth. Okay, a couple more battles of mobs. And let's see who the other boss is. Now, Tsuchino Bunmei, if you recall, is that ancient armor that's weak to physical to start, and its core is weak to magic. So depending if you brought a couple of magic users, you probably can clear that one more easily. In this case, I chose to go with the big Gonjuro first to see what we're up against. Now note that I don't have a half bar to start, so the battle's going to be a lot slower than it should be, but at least you get to see all the rotations of the boss and see what you're up against if you have less than half AF bar, or if you have a weaker team that can't deal a lot of damage in one shot. I will say that if I had a half AF bar, probably by turn 2 or 3, you can probably activate the AF and end it right there and then. Note that I do only have the one Earth character, but being that Tsubame is grassed up, it shouldn't be a problem, especially since you do have Manifest Suzette. So you can see that the Call of the Storm reduces our water resistance, and so you will need Aurora Force or an Int down after this, because you're going to face a large water AoE. And there you go. Very similar looking to Mighty's AoE. And again, not quite enough yet to deal enough damage. Let's try rotating in and see if we can fill the bar. So in the 5th turn, it ate one random character, and it'll spit out the turn after and apply a poison status to that enemy. Note that also Big Gonjuro can heal after the 5th turn, so it's a little bit annoying, and it self-boosted itself, int and power. So when I was doing the storyline, I don't think Big Gonjuro lasted that long. I kind of ended it in a couple of turns, being that you can bring an entire Earth team. Now in the case of wandering through this dungeon, there is a challenge of not having quite enough Earth DPS to end it. So, that being said, we're going to be able to end it very shortly since we do have a full AF bar. Just setting up at this point. Okay, so again, after that 5-turn rotation, we're back to the beginning where it applied a little bit of an int down to us. I'm not too worried because with Explosion, it self-boosts staff magic users' attack by 50% from using Garyu's Manifest weapon. And you can clearly see the battle's over just like that. Alright, all done. So, let's see the results we get in terms of rewards. Hopefully, I get something cool like a treatise or something. And also let me know what kind of cool Grasta or any sort of drops you've gotten, since this is only my first time. Thanks for watching! We'll see you next time.